All right. Start.
What do you expect?
Not much out of you.
Okay, you got it.
All right. So what we're gonna do here is ask some questions. I want to start about your childhood. Where was you born and raised?
I'm Markwick,
Where is that?
Muhlenberg County.
Muhlenberg County.
Actually, it's Pumpkin Ridge. It's between Markwick and Nelson Creek.
Okay. Pumpkin Ridge. That's close to Paradise, right?
Well, it's not too far from Paradise.
So they did a lot of coal mining. When you was young, or when you was older, or?
That's what built Markwick and Nelson Creek was coal mining companies.
So tell us about when you was. Tell us some of your first memories.
I don't know. Probably going to my grandparents. Really, thinking back on it.
Doing what with your grandparents?
Just going to their house. My grandma Jernigan, she'd always had the old wood cook stove, had that warmer above the stove. Every time I showed up, she'd have some warm biscuits up there. They'd stay warm all day. She'd put butter and sugar on them, and I'd take off, happy as a lark. Then I'd get down in the cellar sometimes. She'd have a big crock of brine pickles. I'd get one of them, or she'd have a big crock of sauerkraut. I'd sort of raise the lid off that and walk out a big handful of kraut.
What are some other early memories when you was a kid? What y'all used to do?
Wild and free. Get up in the morning, put on a pair of overall pants. If they still had the knees in them, the knees worn out, I'd put on a pair of shorts. No shirt, hat, socks, shoes. Run through the fields, the woods, and the ponds, and the ditches, and just had fun. Used my imagination for a toy.
Did y'all have games that you played?
No, I don't think of. I can't think of any games we played when we was a kid. We just we'd spend all day playing for cardboard box, sliding down a hill off when it's grassy, or if it's snow, we'd make a good sled. Just always had a pocket knife. Probably I packed a knife since I was probably first grade, about 6 years old. Make bow and arrows, red bud shooters, slingshots. Just always whittling, carving something out. I usually have a slingshot or a BB gun. I was out in the woods shooting birds.
Did any other? So you had a BB gun when you got older. Did you get a rifle or a shotgun?
I got a rifle when I believe I was 9. I got the first rifle. And I was squirrel hunting that.
What kind of rifle was it?
That's a little 22, a little Remington.
So any other hunting besides squirrel hunting you ever did?
Squirrel hunt, rabbit hunt. I got older, I could be a teenager. I got 2 uncles that started quail hunting a lot. Of course, we'd born up, most people want 3 bedrooms and a bath. Now, in my house, we had 2 bedrooms and a bath.
I know, I see the bird back there. That's okay. So tell us about your family members. Who all was in the household with you?
Just me and my sister. That was she was about 6 years older and a lot bigger. She'd get me down and tickle me till I lost my breath. Until she had that aneurysm, I paid her back every time I got a chance.
What did y'all do when you was young together? I mean, did y'all do
Nothing.
stuff together?
Nothing. No.
Age difference?
Age difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about your folks.
Huh? Dad was a coal miner. He went underground doing a man's work at 13. Mom, she worked in little stores, and she finally got a job at GE. which may have been a good thing, because then Dad's mine shut down, and he got blackballed, which is illegal, and you can't do it, and they would never admit it. But when that mine's closed down he was working at, they said he had helped organize the other mines while he was working, and that's supposedly illegal. It took him 20 years to get back to mines. He got a chance, he broke his neck, get back in there.
What did he do in the meantime?
He worked, he worked sawmills, he worked for farmers, and he got got the factory job in Evansville. He and Mom moved over there when I was, oh shoot, I don't know, I said 18, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Did you move to Evansville with them, or you staying over here?
No. I moved over. Yeah, I moved over and got a job when I was 18. Of course, I was 19. Sandy and I was married. We lived there for a couple of years. Then we went to up north of Indiana for a couple of years. Then we got a chance to move back to God's country. And like Dad going to mines, like broke my neck getting back down here.
So was that your first job, or what jobs did you have growing up?
Growing up, my first paying job was working on farms, 6 cents an hour. And I'd walk along the gravel road, pick up pop bottles, penny a piece, take them to a little country store. 5 of them, I'd trade them in for a sack of boiled urn, and get a folder of matches free, and I started smoking about the time I was about 10. And I cut bean sticks, penny a piece, and I'd drag them suckers for a mile, tie a rope around them, and drag them down the gravel road and sell them for a penny a piece.
I guess that was a good way to make some money, wasn't it?
Well,
tell us more about your family when you was young. Like, you got any funny stories of your sister, mom and dad? Is there any rituals y'all had that you did, or funny stuff that happened that you can remember? Kind of putting you on the spot.
no, I can't think of anything like all the rituals right now. And you get shared every now and then. But my mom baked the best country ham in the world. Now Sandy does it, and several other people do it now. But all that country ham grew up with my mom. Of course, we used to kill hogs. That's family ritual every year. We'd get families get together and kill hogs. I usually stood around the kettle and kept the fire going so it'd render large, and then throw the crackers in a barrel, and I'd eat a bunch of them while they're still hot. Deep fried fat.
What about like gifts growing up, whether it be birthday gifts or Christmas gifts? What kind of things did you get?
I remember having one toy truck, and I had one bicycle. I don't know, but
did y'all have what was the house like? Did you have tell us about the house you grew up in?
well, like I said, 2 bedrooms and a bath.
Yeah.
That was
So
it.
you had an outhouse.
Yeah. You didn't get that one?
Yeah, I got it, but I mean, tell us about it. Tell us about using an outhouse.
In the winter time, you did it quick. And then the summertime, you had to be careful of the wasps and lizards running up down the walls.
So, what kind of heat did you have?
Oh, we had coal.
Coal stove.
Coal stove. Yeah.
Of course, I'm sure wasn't no air conditioning.
Nope. Windows open. I was a teenager, I think, before we even had any screens. Just little slide-in screens. But we didn't worry about that. Never locked the door, never closed the window. We could take off and go somewhere, and the neighbors would watch your house. You didn't worry about anybody getting in it. The whole whole community is almost like a family.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us more about the community.
Well, I don't know, it's just a bunch of us boys running around wild. But I know I was told if I went to somebody else's house and misbehaved, my dad told me, he said, they can jerk you up and wear your butt out and you get another one when you get home. Maybe that's the way it ought to still be today. Maybe.
What about other community stuff? Was there anything that went on, events or things that used to happen in your community?
About the only community thing I can remember, went to a little grade school, they had first through 8th grade. And you have ice cream supper every fall. And that had cake walks and ugly band contests and anything to raise money for the school.
Now, I'm sure you always won that ugly man contest, right?
I think my dad did.
Did he?
I think he did. You know, they just put money out on somebody's name, who got the most money of this ugliest one.
Oh, that's great. All right, so tell us more about, I'm going to ask you some more of these questions later.
Okay.
And Sandra's with you, but tell us more about how you met Sandra. How y'all met.
You know what? That's hard to say. We both went to that grade school. But Suzanne, her youngest sister, Peggy, she graduated from 8th grade. She went to Cricksboro High School. And we did that. I think Sandy got on the bus and she went to the grade school. And that's about the first year, I think, that Suzanne started school and she went up there. I really can't think of remembering Sandy from grade school. I remember wrestling and playing marbles with Peggy, your sister. The only thing I think about Sandy, when I really noticed her, one day she had on this brown tweed skirt, and darn, she looked good. I still think about that occasionally. And we rode the bus together, and we'd eat together sometimes at Jackson Cafe, and
Yeah.
we've been together most of our life.
So, how old was y'all when you got married?
I was 19, Sandy was 17.
Yeah. So, you told me that a while ago, but y'all lived
Lived in Evansville.
Evansville when you first got married?
Yeah.
Okay. But then northern Indiana, and then you moved back
Back to Owensboro. Yeah.
to Owensboro.
Yeah.
So you never returned to Muhlenberg County to live?
No, I never
Just
did.
get
Sandy didn't want to. We talked about it, but we never did.
Yeah.
Never did move back.
All right, tell us about the Sigers household after marriage and the kids came along. How was it?
It was good. I can remember though when Billy was probably Addie's age, a little younger, he'd want to have a hamburger at McDonald's. And we'd go through our pockets and find enough change, we'd get him a hamburger and a Coke for $0.25. We wouldn't even have enough money to buy us a Coke, but he got his hamburger and Coke. And then of course Christy come along and, well, she's been a blessing ever since. I hate to tell her that, but she has been.
Yeah, we won't let her see that part of it.
No, you can edit it out.
Yeah, we don't want to hear her big head, do we?
No. Of course, I remember with her, she was 2 or 3 months old. I had a motorcycle get me down, crushed me up pretty good, and I laid at home for 9 months. I was worried I wouldn't be able to go back to work and take care of her. Of course, I did my therapy and I pushed myself real hard. But I still remember her coming in there and I'd be laying on the couch with that leg in the cast. She'd crawl up on my belly and lay there with me. So even though I was down hurt and I got to spend 9 months there, I probably wouldn't have been around her if I'd just been working. So that may be the reason she's rotten.
One of the reasons. Well, tell us about work. Tell us about Alcoa. That's where you worked since you were what?
Yeah, my last 40 years I worked there. Yeah.
40 years. Tell us about how fun that was.
Started out in that pot line. You would sweat through all your clothes. You'd be wringing wet. You'd sweat through your boots.
What you do? What's pot line?
Worked in the pot lines on a where they set made metal, smelted alumni into alumina. It was just a hot, dirty job. Now I got the maintenance. I had a chance to get in the apprenticeship, to get in mechanical maintenance. And Chris, you just started school, getting ready to start school, and said he wasn't working. She said she'd get a job if I'd go ahead and get through the apprenticeship program. Of course, that one time I knew, I think in somewhere 3 years, I lost about $35,000 from the pay I was before I dropped down to and started working back up. But then I couldn't have done that. Sandy hadn't went to work. And I ended up, looked up, got into vibration analysis. So I was doing stuff the salary people didn't know about, and I wouldn't tell them. I just went ahead and did my job, and they didn't know what it was. They knew I was doing something.
You all had enough fun over there too.
Well, yes, I had fun.
Tell us about that. You got a lot of buddies. I did a lot of goofing off. And
Oh, well, a wee bit. One poor little guy would soak him down when he was in the pot lines, and then after the ore crane come by and filled these pots up, it'd be mounted up on top. Well, he'd get up between them to dry off. Somebody else climbed back up on the other side and take an arm and just rake ore off of him. He looked like walking sandpaper. And then we'd catch somebody asleep on the bench. We'd build a bonfire under them and take off. Chase them around throwing buckets of water. Our buddy George Mohan, he was in the lunchroom one time taking a nap. I snuck down there for a whole pack of firecrackers. He had the lights out. I lit them and threw them in there and closed the door. And they started bouncing off, going off everywhere. He crawled underneath the picnic table and laid on the floor, covering up. I'm sure he paid me back.
yeah, what'd they do to you over there? You
Not much, not much.
You were the
Soaked
one.
me down, built floors under me. Yeah.
And something about those scooters. Didn't y'all used to do something with those scooters, you and George? Huh?
No, George got bumped by a fork truck one day in Ingot. He was going from pot lines through Ingot over the smelting side. He was a union steward. He's going for some type of hearing. And he got hit. Somebody hit him with a fork truck, so it knocked him down. Well, later on, I was back over. I was in the apprenticeship, and I got back over the pot lines. And he come out, he was walking down the aisle, and I got up right behind him on the electric scooter, didn't make any noise, and hit the horn. Whatever he had in his hands, he just threw it everywhere. And then one old boy, we used to have a coffee pot in the main office. He was really bad, really goosey. Anything, he was just, had a little wooden locker out in front of the office out there in the hallway. We kept coffee pot, coffee cups, coffee, sugar, everything out there. He went there one day, he was going to put the coffee pot up, and he had his hand full of mugs, big coffee pot, took his foot and opened that wooden door. Well, somebody caught a pigeon, drove a nail inside of it, tied a string to its legs, and they come right out in his face doing this. He threw everything. We had to buy a new coffee pot, new mugs.
All right, so let's again. Some of these questions I'm going to ask you too when you and Sandra get together. But so, tell us about today. Tell us about what's going on with you now. Like, what? Just tell us a day in the life of Jimmie Sigers on May the whatever it is.
I sit around all I can. Take care of your kids. I'll spoil the crap out of them. That's my job. I'm going to do it. And if you don't like it, don't bring them over.
All right, tell us some of the favorite things you do with the grandkids. Favorite things you like to do.
Oh, well, twice a week right now with Addie out there for preschool at Chick-fil-A. Now them was Chick-fil-A, she had more expensive taste, we'd end up Cracker Barrel 2 or 3 days a week.
So taking them out to eat, and you've always spent time
Wrestling with them, trying to teach them a little something. Little Emma, I guess she wasn't 3 years old. We'd get out and walk in the neighborhood. She'd holler, "Papa, walk." She'd grab my finger. And she would pick out numbers and letters off the license plates, and just, she wanted to learn, she wanted to walk.
That's good.
I believe I've heard them say that you're their favorite playmate.
That's good.
It is.
That's well. Like I say, I've had fond memories about, especially one grandma. Well, both of them, but all of them have fond memories of me. That's all I'm going to leave here is memories.
What about with Jared? What's some funny stories you remember about Jay?
Well, it wasn't funny at the time. He got up here and we was all downstairs watching TV, and he was going to take a shower. He closed the drain on the bathtub. It ran over, went through the ceiling, shorted the TV out.
That was Christmas. That was Christmas Day.
Well, that was a year or so after he climbed the Christmas tree.
What about something funny on Morgan?
Oh, I don't know right now. Of course, we had that horse. We go out there quite a bit. I remember one day somehow or the other coming back, and I dipped after I quit smoking, and somehow or the other I spilled that bottle all over it and looked like she was freckled.
Sure, she was happy about that.
Oh yeah.
You remember picking her up when she was at her mama's? You would pick her up every.
Well, I'd pick her up every Friday. Yeah.
There was some song y'all'd always listen to. Was it summertime or?
I don't know. I don't recall that. We didn't know.
But you did that for many, many years.
Yeah, I did that.
Well, that's good.
Did you talk about how he grew up?
Yep. All right, now don't y'all be over making faces at Grandma now, okay? All right, Sandra, so start by telling us about how you grew up, where you grew up.
Grew up in Martwick, a little mining town like Jimmie had talked about. I had 2 sisters, so we were in a 2-bedroom house with 3 girls and Mom and Dad. Daddy worked at the steel mill in Owensboro. He drove from Central City to Owensboro every day. We only had 1 car, and he would have the car, but we could walk in Martwick. We could walk to the post office and get whatever little groceries we needed. So it was just a normal, every day just kind of went its way, and we had a good time. Mama was always so happy singing in the kitchen, and she would do the charsling for us and cooking, and Daddy wasn't as jovial. Daddy had severe rheumatoid arthritis, and so he worked at the steel mill in Owensboro, so he wasn't always feeling very joyful when he got home from work. He was a good man. He wasn't mean to us or anything like that, but he just wasn't much fun times very often. But Mom and Daddy were both very dedicated to the church. Daddy was a deacon. Mama sang. Just a wonderful, wonderful growing up, you know. I wish our kids could go through something as simple as we went through and learn so much, and people were living the life for us that we could model or mimic and be more than good. So we were blessed.
Emma, go in the other room. That's okay. Just go in the other room. Every bit of that noise will be recorded, honey. So tell us about some of your earliest memories.
Well, like I said, we had this little 2-bedroom house. So me and Peggy and Suzanne slept in one bed a lot. And it was nip and tuck who was going to get what place and how long they was going to get to lay there. So, but anyway, so that was fun. My earliest memories, I never completely leaves my image inside of Mama in the kitchen at the kitchen sink. And she always was cooking or cleaning she never sat down during the day. Out in the garden, doing all of that. Anybody was sick in the community, she was the first one there to take them food. At the house, I do remember when we got a TV. We didn't have one at the earliest of my memories, but I remember when we got a TV, and we would all sit in there and watch TV in the evening. And Daddy liked boxing, nobody else did. So we would kind of have to make adjustments for that. Sing, like I said, when we were in the kitchen doing something, Mom was always singing, and Peggy would sing with her. My singing voice doesn't qualify. Suzanne was always funny. She was always a monkey, and she could make you laugh over everything. So that was fun. And Mama played sports in her younger years. And at Drexboro, where we all went to high school, they would have a time when the mothers would come and play basketball against the students, and Mama would come. And she's like me; she wasn't real small, but she'd get out there and she'd play, and she'd just huff, but she had the best time, just smiling. They were a part of whatever we were. Very much a part of whatever we were. And when Mama would be in the kitchen or be cleaning, no matter where we were, we could hear her singing usually. She would sing while she worked. She had a beautiful alto voice.
What are some of the songs she used to sing?
Pardon?
Some of the songs she used to sing?
Church songs. Church songs. So...
just the old hymns and stuff?
Hymns and things like that. And every once in a while, something that had been on the radio or something, she'd sing, some of the popular songs, but I don't remember a particular name.
And she would be in the plays, so.
At school? Is that what you're saying?
No, I remember when she would put on the makeup over in the little country schoolhouse.
Yeah, when she was young.
Is that when it was?
Uh-huh. Yeah, the little country schoolhouse would have plays, and Mama always was a black person. That's what she was, because she had dark eyes and black hair and whatever. That was her role, and she would do it fine. So at the little country schoolhouse, they would have a once a year an ice cream supper. I think Jimmie mentioned that. And people would come and they'd be sitting in the windows. There's no screens or anything. This is the big, rather big building, and great big windows, and people would come sit in the windows, and they would bid for ice cream cakes and do all that stuff. And then there might be a dance or two, but not a whole lot. At that time, dancing was frowned on. They didn't see Mama in the kitchen. Just trying to think.
What about, you remember, because y'all didn't always have bathrooms in the house.
Oh no. Peggy still tells me that every time it got dark, I'd have to go to the outhouse, and they would make her go with me. She still tells me about that. So you had a flashlight and a path, and that's what you had. And she would get so aggravated. Mom would say, "Peggy, you go with Sandra. She's scared." She didn't like that bit. She didn't like that bit. And then Suzanne was an athlete like Peggy, and so they went. She played ball when she was very early, very young, on a real ball team, you know. And so she would go with them, and I'd want to go, and didn't get to go because couldn't hit a ball. And Mom and Daddy would go. They loved the ball games. I'd go watch, but I didn't really have that talent, so still don't.
You did get to go with them one time to pick strawberries.
Oh, I did. Forgot about that. That was something else. They would bring a big cattle-sided truck through the town, through the community, and anybody that wanted to get on it and ride to go pick strawberries, you'd get paid for picking the strawberries. Well, the truck left everybody off, and I was still in it, and it took off. Daddy had to chase it. Peggy went home and told Daddy. Daddy got in his car and had to chase the truck down to stop it to get me out. I was in the back with cattle boards, you know.
Had you gone to sleep?
I don't know. I might have. I don't know, because we had to get up real early. I remember that. And I didn't pick a quart of strawberries. After all that. Oh, me. So, clue me again.
Huh?
Clue me again. Tell me something else.
Okay.
Well, just tell us more about your mom, because I told Christy and you all before, I feel like I know her because you all always had so many stories about her, funny stories and fun stories, just such fond memories. Can you think of any of those?
Let me think. Oh, I remember one. I don't know if you want this in there. You can edit it out. Mama decided to take birth control pills. Now, she was not young, probably close to ever even thinking about birth. But anyway, for whatever reason, she was taking them. Well, she had them laying by the bedside. Well, Daddy had to take medicine for his arthritis too. Well, he got up and took her birth control pills. And she discovered it, and she got so tickled you could hear her snickering all through the house. He wanted to get mad, but he couldn't.
I know that feeling.
But he finally laughed. But I mean, we laughed about that forever, and still do. When we'd all get together, we would talk about stuff like that.
And then one time she got up to get him medicine, remember?
Oh yeah,
He couldn't sleep.
he needed something and he couldn't sleep, so she got up to get him some medicine. So she went in the kitchen, got the medicine, took it, and got back to bed.
She took it herself.
Yeah. So,
Oh man.
I mean, it was fun. I would give anything for the girls to experience some of that. I mean, I know your old house is wonderful. You know, I'm not saying anything against that. But there was just such crazy things that we just laughed about constantly. And it couldn't have been a better place to grow up.
Yeah, and that's where your mom is where you all get that sense of humor, ain't it?
Well, yeah, Daddy didn't laugh much.
Or if somebody gets hurt.
Oh, yeah, somebody... Yeah, that's true. Let's see, who was it? Somebody slid on the ice. I don't know which one it was.
That was Suzanne. Ralph just posted that. That was his first date.
Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't what...
Oh, that's not what you're saying.
Or maybe it was, and I was just subconsciously, but... yeah, he'd come to get her in our front porch. they had several steps up to the front porch. And when the ice came, I mean, it was slick. And he'd come to get her, and then he slipped and fell. Hurt his, whatever, hurt his pride tremendously. Mama said he jumped, I wasn't there, but she said he jumped up and dusted himself off and looked to see if anybody was watching. Of course, everybody laughed.
Just died.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us more about your sisters.
Well, Peggy is just an awesome sister. Awesome.
Just
She
growing
is.
up, how were they?
I wasn't her favorite. Suzanne was her favorite. I wasn't her favorite, and so she and Suzanne did all the running together because Suzanne could play ball, and like I've already said, I had no skill. So they would go to ball games, and they would just, wherever, they were out running together a whole lot. So Peggy just kind of became Suzanne's mother, is what she just kind of took that low role over a little bit, but they had a big time.
Who was it that was aggravating Granny? And did you end up getting hit?
Yeah, Peggy
So tell
grabbed her.
What
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, Mama was at the kitchen sink, and Peggy kept poking her or something, and Mama was turned around and started to push her away, and I happened to be standing there and got slapped right in the face. Yep, Mama felt bad. Peggy didn't care.
Well, that's the way, like, old Barry, we're close and good friends now, but growing up, we wasn't at all,
Yeah.
He didn't give me no mind for nothing. But anyway, you know how close we are today.
Yeah.
But what about Suzanne? You got any funny
Oh my,
stuff on?
Suzanne was funny. She still is funny. The first time that I remember a boy coming to pick her up for a date, I think his name may have been Jim. I can't remember his last name. But anyway, our front porch was high, and so he came to the porch and was going to come up to pick her up. She jumped off the porch. Instead of going down the steps, Mama just about died. She just jumped off the porch and then they got in the car and left. She didn't think anything about it. She was just like that. She was free, go lucky. She didn't let things drive her nuts, She just kind of did it and let everything fall by. So she's a very, very precious lady as well.
What about holidays and birthdays growing up? How were they?
The birthdays, Mama would usually bake a little cake, and we didn't have like bunches of gifts or anything like that. Sometimes we would have something, but not always. Holidays, Christmas, of course, Santa Claus always came and was very nice to us, very good to us. Mama loved Christmas. She loved baking. She made the best candies. The people in the neighborhood always knew, and she would deliver to many houses around us. Just take them, say hi, take them stuff. The Christmases at our house, we would usually stay at home and eat and everything, and then we would go up to my granddad, Mama's parents, later in the day and see them, and would take some of our stuff to show them. They were quite a lot older, but Peggy stayed a whole lot with Mama. She and Mama were best buds. Mama was a huge reader, and she had no education, but the bookmobiles used to come through the area, and she would always get several books, and she was just a huge reader. She was self-educated, and she would teach. In fact, she helped Peggy become as smart as she was by working with her and so forth. I went up there, she taught me how to sew. That was the thing that I wanted to do, and she taught me on her pedal sewing machine. My granddaddy was a little gruff. He wasn't mean, but you didn't know if he was going to hit you or kiss you when he said something. His voice would be so gruff. And he didn't like to put up with any foolishness. But he was the clerk at the church, very active in the local church there. And he did all the clerk business and all that for years. Just a wonderful situation. Now, next door to Mima was Mama's oldest sister. And she had she had 2 girls and 2 or 3 boys. And they were rowdy.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that?
That was Amy, and it was Billy Brandon, and Donnie, and I said 3.
Merlin June.
2, yeah. And then Marilyn and Rowetta were her 2 daughters. And their house was as different from ours as daylight and dark. So, but...
Well, tell us about the big day around the time when you and Jimmie met.
Well, I'm sure, like he said, it's like school, going back and forth to school or something, and on the bus. I don't have a clear recollection of just the time.
What about y'all's first date? Do you remember that?
No, but there were several that followed quickly. So we would go to the movie a lot, drive in sometime. We would go get some ice cream or get a hamburger sometime. There weren't any other couples that we hung around with while we were in Martwick when we were young. Right?
Billy.
Huh?
Billy and Phyllis.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Billy Tigg and Phyllis Tungett. There was another couple that went to church and we hung out with them.
So after y'all were married, y'all lived in Evansville? Is that right? Do you remember much about living in Evansville?
Yeah. We lived in this upstairs apartment. No, wait a minute, let me get them right. The first one was up in that attic-like place.
Southeast 2nd.
It was dark, and it was lonely, and Jimmie was working all the time. My Mima, my daddy's mother, also lived in Evansville, and she, not a very long distance from that, and she would walk over sometime and come visit me while he was gone. Didn't have a car, didn't have a phone. I don't know if we had a TV yet even. I don't think so. But we just did that, and then in the afternoon, a little bit later, we got close to another cousin and his wife, and stayed close to them forever, and we would go over their house a lot. And before they had children and before we had children, we'd just go over there and hang out. But never did anything special really, but just did our thing.
So you moved up to northern Indiana and then finally to Owensboro?
Yes.
All right, so tell us about the kiddos when they were little.
Well, Billy was a very sweet baby, and he was a good baby. After we moved back to Owensboro, let's see. After we moved back to Owensboro, or maybe we just were coming back home to visit, I don't know. But Peggy, she loved Billy and he loved her, and so she took him and they ran around all the time. And until the day he was gone, they were still very, very close. When Christy came, now I know this sounds ugly, but I'm just telling you the truth. I was determined that nobody was going to take my girl from me. And so Christy didn't get to run around with Peggy as much as Billy did because she was mine. I had done quite a lot to get that little girl, and there was nobody going to get her from me.
So talk about that.
Talk about it.
What'd y'all do?
Where you don't have to.
What'd y'all do?
I mean, for me to get here.
For you to get here,
So when you had Billy, was that pretty easy?
yes, Billy. It was. I had a bed rest period before that. It wasn't completely easy, but it was. He was born and he was okay. Christy, it didn't work out quite that easy. I had 4, I think, 3 miscarriages. And I lost a baby. One of the miscarriages, the baby was further along, but she didn't live. And so I was brokenhearted. So I convinced Jimmie if we could just try one more time. And I had to take some medicine and do stuff, but she's here.
It worked, huh?
It worked. She was born beautiful, not a blemish, and is still perfect to this day.
Tell us about some funny stories when the kids were little.
Let me see, there's something about Billy that just is kind of in the back of my mind.
Now, he was always musical.
Yes,
You all would talk about laying him on the pallet.
singing, he would lay on the pallet and sing, and he was very, very bright in school. The teachers would call me aside and tell me, different things, and he had a lot of talents and a lot of smarts. I don't know how else to say it. He did really well in school. Who was it that said he could charm the pants off of him?
I've heard you say that.
And he could. He could get anything done that he wanted, whether it was from me and Jimmie or from whoever. But very quickly, very young, his music ability showed, and he would do this or that, or hang out with his buddies with just old guitars and things like that, and then he just developed, much further. I am really proud of the fact that he went overseas 2 or 3 times.
A lot more than that.
A lot more than that.
Yeah.
He would put together a band, and the army or the military would pay to send him overseas to entertain the troops. And, he enjoyed that. He really enjoyed it, and I was so proud of him for doing that. There was always a bunch of boys at the house playing music.
You used to let him practice in the garage, remember?
Yeah, they did. He always had a girlfriend somewhere. Didn't know all of them. Didn't know a lot of them. That's okay.
Now, Christy Lee. Now, how was she growing up? Tell us about her.
Christy was she was funny, even young. She was always funny. She too had a very strong head, knew what she wanted, and worked pretty hard to get it, whether it was wearing me down or whatever it was. But it was never trouble. She never made bad choices and got into trouble that I knew about. I don't claim to know all. But
No.
I mean, she always had a bunch of girls around her, and they would come to the house, and we loved that. And they're still close to some of them, Nisha and Ned Lexi and several of them. But they would always, if they were down, when we moved here, she had just getting ready to leave for college, I think. But they would come and they would go downstairs in the basement and you could hear their laughter all over the house. They were just having the best time, no trouble. They just had more fun. I mean, if the girls came in, they'd come in and help themselves to food and just make themselves at home, exactly what I wanted them to do. And some of the friends that Billy had still will come by, or they'll call, or something. We had lasting friendships with several of his friends too. So, but let's see. Talk about Christy. The car. Let's see. Where did we start with the car?
What about whenever y'all got that brand new couch? That brown and white couch out in Pleasant Ridge?
No.
Oh, was it Holmes Drive?
Holmes Drive.
What we got? What?
You had a brand new couch and came in there and I had gotten a hold of Billy's model paint.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Ruined the couch.
So what happened?
She spilled model paint all over it.
A brand new couch.
Brand new couch.
And you thought that I was bleeding?
Because she put it in her mouth. And so I was in there worried about her, and my couch was ruined.
And then you put me in my crib to clean up the couch. Do you remember what I did to the crib, to my bed?
She tore the mattress up. She said, I went in there to check on her, and she had actually took her little fingers and made a hole in it and just was pulling the pad out.
So Addie Mae might get it on it.
Well, she might. She might. But, yeah, she had her moments too.
First time we put her in a bed, a regular bed, she fell out and busted her head open.
Yes.
I don't know how many different men took you to the hospital first.
Because she's always working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she did. She had to have some.
Give me a bag real quick.
You have a funny story, I think.
On Christy.
Yeah, it was about Christy.
Remember I locked myself in the bathroom
Oh,
with the Vaseline?
Yeah, you did do that. That was you that had Vaseline on your hands and she couldn't open it from the inside. I had to go get tools to take the door loose to get her out. She was standing in there crying.
And Daddy wasn't there.
And Daddy wasn't home. So, that's true. That's true.
What about Morgan and Jared? You got any funny stories on them?
Morgan, there wasn't a lot of funny stuff on her. Her life was so serious. We got custody of her. I don't remember how old she was 3 when we got custody.
She was in 7th grade.
12.
2nd grade.
7.
7th grade. Okay. The schools in Henderson would call us, or would call me, and she was in school, she didn't have any food, all this. And so I started just sending lunch money to school. I mailed it every week to the school, so I knew she'd have some. She would, I can't remember all the things, but it was terrible. She said, her and her younger sister Ariel, one day, Tracy, who was the live-in male figure in the household, I don't know what they had done, but he took a board and spanked them both on the butt until their butts were black. So I talked to school, and then there were just several things that, just awful things. I went over there after Gage was born. Yeah. And to check on her, and she was laying in the floor, and there was an apartment. She was laying in the floor, on something. She had vomited all around her. She was laying in the vomit. The baby was laying there close to her. Her mama lived within blocks, never came to check on her, see about her. So that was the kind of life she lived, and it at times was worse than that. It was, because Drew, Gage's legal dad, would beat her over regularly.
Yeah. What are some of the, when she came to live with you all, what are some of the memories, the good memories you had with her growing up here?
She wasn't easy. She wasn't.
She was a little headstrong, you
A
think?
little headstrong.
She loved animals, remember? She's
Oh.
always been an animal.
Animal lover. I mean, a cat or a dog or,
Horse.
horse. Yes, horse. She loves horses still.
Crabs,
Crabs.
hamsters.
Yeah. She had 2 hamsters, and they got out of their cage that was in that back bedroom. So I was moving furniture one day to clean. I had found where they had eaten the carpet, and then I found where they had died and decomposed. So right on, and that was a fairly new carpet I got, and I didn't get new carpets often. But oh me, yeah, any kind of animal. She had cats. What was her cat's name? I can't think.
A little bit.
Little bit, yeah. We didn't have very many dogs, but she always loved animals, and she liked music. She wasn't very old until she started singing and just playing around with it. But music. When she went to school, when she went to College View, after we got custody of her, of course we brought her here and enrolled her in school. And it's been a little bit ago. It was around Morgan's wedding or a little bit before. The lady that altered dresses for us.
Miss Glore, Linda Glore.
Yeah. She remembered Morgan when she saw me. And she said I had nightmares because she was so skinny. Her eyes were sunk back in her head. And she was just, and several of the ladies, the teachers at school, just, it was so sad. And then she got to a stage where she got a little bit too independent. And she made bad choices. She paid a consequence.
Look how she's turned out now.
Yeah, I know.
It's great, ain't it?
And another thing to tell you what a miracle it is that she is. Her mother came over here when we got to the point where we were not. How did we do it? The custody. I guess she got old enough that we. But anyway, she was drawing Social Security because her dad had died. And of course, me and Jimmie, that was put in a hole, and it was for her, and we never spent a dime of it. Well, her mother came over here when she decided she was going back down there, and I'd done everything I couldn't stop her. And a Social Security check was laying here. Well, her mother saw it. Oh, you would have thought she was a miracle woman herself, Oh, well, what's that? Oh, well, what's that? And from then on, Morgan didn't get a lot of her Social Security money.
Yeah.
And her mama didn't have any money. And they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
She was so skinny. That was another thing the teacher said that we talked about. How frail she was. She was just, literally skin and bones. Had bad asthma. Her mom never took her to a doctor. Just, So she's been through a very tough time. But she has come out on top, and she is so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of her and so happy for her. Chris is just, he's the husband that any mother would want their child to have. And with Gage too, and it's been God all over it.
Do you got any funny stories on Jared when he was little?
Jared made a lot of bad decisions from early on.
And he was always, I was just gonna say, he was always, wasn't he always coloring his hair and doing,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what all.
Yeah.
Remember what he would call you when he was little?
What?
Grandma.
Grandma, yeah.
He could say grandma. He'd say grandma. Remember him climbing the Christmas tree?
I'd forgotten that. I had the Christmas tree set up in there in the living room, and it was a big and it was a live one. He decided to climb it, turned it over, broke all the bulbs, dumped all the water out the floor. And I said, Jared, why in the world did you do it? He said, I just had to do it, Grandma. So, yeah, he did. He did.
And we'll, when we interview y'all together, we'll talk about a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
So just, what about Addie and Emma?
Oh my. They keep my light burning.
And Skylar.
And
And
Skylar.
Skylar, yeah.
And Skylar. They keep my light burning. I mean, they come in the door and that grandma, and it's grandma all day long. And I mean, how can you get bored? You know? And Addie has some unusual requests sometimes. But, I mean, we play. We go out in the yard and play sometimes. Yesterday, she raked the yard and she asked me if I could pay her if she worked real hard, and she did. She raked up a pile of leaves. And so today, I was reading through her book that came from school, from preschool, and they mentioned it 2 or 3 times. They checked off all the things that she could do, and the one thing that they had left that marked in there, she can't tie her shoes. So I asked Jimmie, I said, Jimmie, why don't you see if you can teach her to tie her shoes? Well, she didn't want no part of that. I said, well, let me tell you. Okay, I'm going to give you $2 for the leaves you raked. And if you let Papa teach you how to tie shoes, I'll give you $2 more. Well, she can tie her shoes now. So, but I mean, it's just something like that with her all the time. I mean, you laugh, with her. And of course, Emma's just as sweet as she can be. And she laughs as some, maybe not as freely as we joke, that Addie jokes and carries on. I don't know. But I mean, what precious girls they are. I mean, so precious.
You taught Emma how to sew.
I did. I've forgotten that. Yeah, I did. On my big sewing machine.
That's
And
cool.
you all helped Addie cook, so
Oh, yeah.
make her own recipes.
Our own recipes, yeah.
She put a dozen eggs in it.
Pound
she
and a half
would.
sugar.
Yeah. And she would put flour and eggs and sugar and milk. And we'd put it in the stove and bake it. I didn't eat much. And she didn't either. She just wanted to cook, So, and I hope she remembers as time goes by that she and Grandma cooked. So me and Emma one time, like Christy said, she learned to sew some, and she kind of lost interest in that as she got older. But so that was our thing to do, was the sewing with her mostly. I mean, we talked and read. When they come in, we sit down and we talk. That we just make sure we connect.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade 5 minutes of it for anything.
Yeah.
Beautiful girls.
Well, they get all that from their daddy, right?
Do I have to say yes?
Well, I figured you was gonna say, well, you hadn't met him yet, so you don't know.
I wish I thought of that. I wish I thought of that.
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
Well, again, when we interview y'all together, we'll talk about a lot of the same things you already talked about.
Okay.
So we'll cover even more. Is there anything else you want to say today?
Just that I couldn't be more blessed to have the family that I do, and the in-laws that I do. We couldn't be more blessed, and we want to thank you all for all you do for us. Amen. The end.
You'll really be happy when you meet your son-in-law for the first time, won't you?
Well, I didn't have Christy go out and look for another one, so I reckon it worked out okay. She brought some scruffy looking ones in every once in a while.
Yeah, we probably not gonna videotape all that.